In this video, I'm going to continue animating my Shopify homepage with more cool animations. Today, I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to add a sleek animation to your website. All it takes is a few lines of code and you're off and running. There is one line you may have to change for it to work on your site, but I'm going to walk you through exactly how you can update it so it works for you. My name is Nick, and I make videos like this every week to help you improve your web experience. If you find it helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, and I love hearing from you in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions, but I think it's time to get started. Now, as always, I recommend duplicating your live theme so you're not making any changes to your production theme. So make sure you do that. I'm going to go ahead and use my local development. So I'm using a local text editor, but if you come into your theme that you want to edit, click the three-dot menu, go to edit code, you'll have the exact same interface that I do. I'm also going to highlight a couple changes that I made. This is just the Dawn theme, and this is the hero section that we made previously in one of my other videos, so make sure to check that out if you want to see how to make a cool section like this. But I've made some changes to this featured collection right here. So this is the code that we're going to actually add this animation to. So I did a couple things. I went in and I customized it. The first things that I did was I changed the maximum products to show, so you can show as many as you want. Add the number of columns. I think 3 looks good. And then you can toggle a bunch of these different settings so that you can make it look however you would like it to. I think this is probably the settings I found that look the best. And now that we've taken care of that, I have a live preview here. So if I scroll down, you'll see that we have our sections right here. Nothing going on. You'll see there is a built-in little animation. If I hover, the product kind of enlarges just a little bit. But really all we have to do is we have to go over to my GitHub link. You can go ahead and copy all of this code. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go back to your code editor and under sections, and you're going to look for a file called featuredcollection.liquid right here. Okay. So if you are not using Dawn theme, totally fine. All you have to do is find out which section this is. Okay. So you can do that a couple different ways, but if you look here, it usually has the name right there. So featured collection, that is the file that we're going to edit. If you have a different file, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you navigate that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find where this last div is right before this schema tag. Okay, and we're going to go in here and we're going to just paste this code. Make sure you include the script in the text right here. So we should have a closing script tag and an opening script tag. I'm just going to walk through this really fast. Basically what we do is we have this selector, which means we're grabbing these items that we want to animate. Then we do some fancy checks here to make sure that there's not any existing animations. If so, we want to make sure to remove it. And we also want to make sure that GSAP, the library that's going to do the animations, is loaded. Once it is loaded, this is the actual code that makes the animation happen. Okay. There's a lot of things going on here, but we will talk about this one in a little bit. But really, this is just setting like what changes we want to happen. Okay. And then this code down here, all this is doing is loading in the GSAP libraries that we need to, so we won't touch that code at all. Okay, so if I save this, I'm gonna come back over here, and if I refresh, you're gonna see it works, magic, just like that. Copy paste, awesome. Now, hopefully that works for you. If it doesn't, that's okay. Let me show you a couple things you can do to get this working. If you are on Chrome, you can right click and click inspect. If you're not using Chrome, I think most browsers are probably the same, but really what we're trying to do is we're trying to open this Elements slide out tab. So make sure you do that with usually a right click again and inspect. And then once you do that, there's a couple things we need to do here. What we need to do is we need to grab this little pointer thing and we need to click on the first element here. Okay. I'll explain why we're doing this as we go. So what we need to do is we need to figure out what this element's selector is. Okay, remember selector just means how does our code know what objects to animate. Okay, so if I right click on it, and actually sometimes it's easier if you get like the whole, you can see if I move it slightly, it gets like all of the objects. So let's try that. I'm going to click on that. And what that does is it opens it here in this panel with it highlighted. So you'll see this UL, okay? It may be different on your code. It may not be the UL, but it will have everything highlighted. And then if we scroll down, not scroll down, but just move down slightly, you're gonna see I have this LI tag. And if I close it, you'll see there's one after, and I can see just by highlighting it, those are the things that I want to grab, right? So you can see like this is the first one, this is the second one, third, and so forth. Okay, so that tells me this is the item that I want to grab. So how do I actually grab it? Well, There's one thing we need to look for here in particular. This class attribute is very important. It's usually the best way to grab multiple items like this. Okay, so if we look at this class, and I can double click and it lets me highlight this text, and I can just hit Command C and copy that. All right, so if I come back to the console, here's a cool little trick that you can use. Okay, all I did was move from this tab to console. You don't have to do this step, but I highly recommend it because it makes sure that you grab the right element. And if you type document dot query selector all, and then do a parentheses like this, you can paste in the selector and make sure that it works. Okay, so all I'm going to do is add quotes, single quotes or double quotes, doesn't matter. And then I'm going to type a dot and then paste that class that I grabbed. Okay, the reason the dot is important is because that is how you tell the code you want to get the class of this name. So if I hit enter, you're going to see I get 13 values. And the cool thing is if I highlight them, you can see it's grabbing each of them. So I'm looking at it and it looks pretty good, right? So if I scroll down a little bit, I just want to make sure that I'm grabbing the right ones. Okay, cool. But then you'll see, like, look at all these ones, right? These, I didn't want those ones. I only wanted these. Maybe you do want to animate everything, and that's fine. But I only want to animate these items in particular. So there's a way that we can make this query selector a little bit more specific. So we're going to keep that because that's working. But what we'll do is we'll grab a selector from this parent, the container element, to make sure that we're only grabbing elements inside of this one. Okay, if that doesn't make sense, I'm sorry, but just kind of follow along the best you can. What we're going to do is we're also going to grab one of the class names from the parent where everything is highlighted, right? So if I look at the class names, there's several, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for one that looks descriptive, and I think this product grid right here is probably the best one for that. So I'm going to copy that, come back to my console, I'm going to clear it, and if you push up, add the code that you just wrote, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the beginning of this statement, and I'm going to, right before the first dot, I'm going to add another dot, and I'm going to paste that in, and then do this less than, or I guess it's greater than sign. Okay, so all this means, this looks kind of crazy, but all it's saying is grab the product grid, which is all of those elements, and then grab the grid item inside of it. Okay, and now if I click enter and I highlight these, you'll see I get all 6, and these are the only elements that I wanted. Okay, so once you have this code looking correctly, like it selected everything you want, just grab everything in between those parentheses, come on back to the code, and then right here in this selector, you're going to go ahead and just replace the text like this. Mine's exactly the same, right? Because it's the same code that worked, but you're going to change that. And then if you hit save, you should be able to come back and it should be working now. Okay, now the next thing I want to show you how to tweak just a little bit is some of these values where this animation occurs. So if we come back here, this line right here is really what I want to focus on. Okay, you can make a few changes here if you would like to change where these items are starting out at. So this value right here, this is where it starts, meaning it's hard to understand, but 160 on the Y means that it's starting 160 pixels down and then it moves up. Okay, so that's 160 is where it starts. You can change that value if you'd like. I also, this is the opacity, right? So if you look at the opacity, when I'm up higher, you see how it's a little bit lighter. And then as I scroll, it gets brighter. And so that's what we want in this case. I also added this right here, this X. This is kind of some weird logic. You don't need to understand it. All it's doing is it's alternating. So each item moves from a different direction sideways. So what I mean is if you look at this one is moving from the right up to the left, and this one does the opposite, and that one does the opposite. See how they all move separately? You do not have to have that. In fact, I almost like the look of it better without it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it. So if I just remove that and have it like this, you will see if I refresh. Now it just has this nice little slide in from the bottom. I think that's really all you need. It doesn't need to be anything too crazy, just a little bit of a effect to enhance the UI, and you see it does it on both rows. So these are the values that you want to tweak if you do want to make more customizations to that, you can also play with some of these values if you'd like to understand how GSAP works more. But this is really all you need to add a quick little animation to your store or to your website and to make it look a little bit sleeker with some cool design. I hope that this has been helpful. Let me know in the comments if you like it and if you want to see more videos like this. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you next time.